Ghastly Garlic Episode 13. The Black Hand's Vengeance. Part 1. The Little Thief. In a remote village deep in the heart of Russia, where the forests were thick and the winters harsh, lived a girl named Masha. She was a small, wiry child with a face that could melt even the sternest heart. Her appearance was deceptive, for Masha harbored a dark compulsion. She was a thief. From the moment she learned to walk, her nimble fingers had been stealing things. At first, it was simple trinkets from her neighbors, but as she grew older, her ambitions expanded to more valuable items. One cold autumn evening, as the days grew shorter and the nights longer, Masha wandered through the village market. Her sharp eyes caught sight of a beautiful, fur-lined coat hanging outside a small shop. The coat was a deep shade of red, with silver buttons and a luxurious fur collar. It was the kind of coat that Masha had always dreamed of owning, but one she could never afford. The temptation was too great. Masha glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then slipped the coat off the hanger and hid it under her tattered cloak. She hurried home, her heart racing with the thrill of her successful theft. That night, she admired the coat in the dim light of her small, dilapidated room. She draped it over a chair, imagining how warm and elegant it would make her feel. Part 2. The First Knock. As Masha lay in bed, the house around her seemed unusually quiet. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and making the old wooden structure creak. Masha pulled the covers up to her chin, trying to ignore the eerie sounds. Just as she was about to drift off to sleep, a sharp knock echoed through her room. Knock, knock, knock. Masha's eyes snapped open. The sound came from the window beside her bed. She sat up, her heart pounding in her chest. The room was pitch black, the only light coming from the pale moon outside. For a moment, she thought she had imagined the sound. Knock, knock, knock. This time, the noise was louder, more insistent. Masha turned her head slowly towards the window. There, against the frosty pane, was a hand clad in a black glove. It tapped on the glass, the fingers moving with a slow, deliberate motion. Masha felt a chill run down her spine as the hand's fingers curled around the edge of the window, pushing it open with an agonizing slowness. The hand reached inside, groping through the air until it found the fur-lined coat. With a firm grip, it snatched the coat and withdrew back through the window, disappearing into the night. Masha sat frozen in her bed, unable to move or scream, her mind racing to comprehend what had just happened. The wind outside seemed to laugh at her, a cold, cruel mockery of her fear. Part 3. The Second Theft. The next morning, Masha tried to shake off the events of the previous night. She convinced herself that it had all been a bad dream, a figment of her guilty conscience. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. Her thoughts were clouded with fear and confusion, but her compulsion to steal was stronger than her apprehension. That day, she wandered through the village again, seeking something to distract her from the unease gnawing at her. She found herself in front of an old, decrepit house on the edge of the village. The windows were broken, and the door hung loosely on its hinges. Through the open door, Masha saw a small, intricately carved nightstand. It was a beautiful piece, despite its dusty condition. Masha felt an irresistible urge to have it. She glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then slipped inside and quickly carried the nightstand out through the back door. She hurried home, her heart racing with the thrill of her theft, but also with a sense of foreboding she couldn't shake. That night, Masha placed the nightstand beside her bed, admiring her newest acquisition. As darkness fell and the house grew quiet, she found herself anxiously waiting for the knock. Hours passed, and just as she was beginning to feel relieved, it came. Knock, knock, knock. The sound was more insistent this time, more demanding. Masha's heart raced as she turned to face the window. The same black-gloved hand was there, reaching in with an eerie precision. It grabbed the nightstand and began to pull it through the window. Overcome with a mix of fear and curiosity, Masha scrambled out of bed and rushed to the window. Part 4. The Revelation. As Masha peered outside, she saw a shadowy figure standing in the garden below. The figure was draped in a long, black cloak, its face hidden in the shadows. The black hand, now holding the nightstand, seemed to be an extension of the figure. Masha's eyes widened in horror as the hand released the nightstand and reached up towards her. Before she could react, the hand grasped her wrist with a vice-like grip. Masha screamed, trying to pull away, but the hand was too strong. It yanked her forward, pulling her through the window and out into the cold night air. She struggled and kicked, but the hand held her fast, dragging her across the ground towards the figure. The figure's other hand emerged from the cloak, also clad in a black glove. It reached for her throat, squeezing tightly until she could no longer scream. Masha's vision blurred as she gasped for breath, her mind filled with terror and regret. The last thing she saw before darkness consumed her was the figure's shadowy face, hidden behind a veil of darkness. Part 5. The Aftermath. The next morning, the townspeople found Masha's lifeless body in the garden beneath her window. The red velvet jacket and the nightstand were nowhere to be found. Whispers and rumors spread through the town like wildfire. Some said it was the work of a vengeful spirit. Others believed it was a punishment from a higher power. But no one could explain the black hand or the figure in the cloak. As the years passed, Masha's story became a cautionary tale told to children to warn them against stealing. The townspeople would often glance nervously at the windows of their homes at night, fearing the return of the Black Hand. And in the quiet, secluded town, the legend of the Black Hand that punished thieves lived on, a haunting reminder of the fate that awaited those who gave into their darker impulses. Part 6. The Legacy of Fear. Masha's death cast a long shadow over the town. Parents used the tale to frighten their children into honesty, spinning ever more elaborate details about the Black Hand that punished thieves. The more superstitious townsfolk started to believe that Masha's spirit roamed the town, searching for those who would dare to steal, her tragic fate serving as a warning from beyond the grave. Years turned into decades, and the town began to change. Modernization crept in, and the small, close-knit community expanded. However, the legend of the Black Hand persisted, passed down through generations. The fear of the unknown, of the supernatural justice that awaited wrongdoers, remained a powerful force. In the heart of the town, where Masha's house once stood, a new family moved in. They had heard the stories, but dismissed them as old wives' tales. The family had 2 children, Alex and Elena, who were adventurous and curious, much like Masha had been. The siblings often explored the town, uncovering hidden corners and forgotten places, always seeking something new and exciting. Part 7. The New Generation. One evening, Alex and Elena were playing near the old market square. They stumbled upon a small, dusty shop that seemed out of place among the modern buildings. The shop's sign, barely readable, hinted at treasures within. Intrigued, the children pushed the door open and stepped inside. The interior was cluttered with antiques and curiosities. An elderly shopkeeper watched them with a knowing smile. Alex's eyes were drawn to a small, intricately carved box on a high shelf. It was beautiful, and he felt a familiar, irresistible urge to take it. Without thinking, he slipped the box into his backpack, and he and Elena hurried out of the shop. That night, as Alex admired the box in his room, a sense of unease settled over him. Elena, noticing his discomfort, asked him what was wrong. He brushed off her concern, attributing his feelings to guilt. But as the night wore on, the feeling of dread grew stronger. Part 8. The Return of the Black Hand. As the clock struck midnight, a familiar sound echoed through the room. Knock, knock, knock. Alex's heart skipped a beat. He turned to see the black-gloved hand at his window, just as the stories had described. Fear paralyzed him as the hand reached inside, its fingers curling around the carved box. Elena, awakened by the noise, watched in horror as the hand took the box and retreated into the night. The next day, the siblings were too frightened to speak of what had happened, but curiosity and fear gnawed at them. They decided to visit the old shop again, hoping to find answers. The shopkeeper greeted them with a knowing look, as if he had been expecting their return. Part 9. The Keeper of Secrets. The elderly shopkeeper revealed that he was the keeper of the town's secrets, and had known Masha long ago. He explained that the Black Hand was a manifestation of the town's collective guilt and fear, punishing those who took what was not theirs. He warned Alex and Elena that the hand would not stop until it had exacted its retribution. Desperate to break the cycle, the siblings asked what they could do. The shopkeeper told them of a ritual that could appease the spirit. They needed to return all stolen items to their rightful places and seek forgiveness from those they had wronged. Only then could the Black Hand be laid to rest. Part 10. The Redemption. Determined to end the curse, Alex and Elena set out to return the carved box. They went back to the shop and explained everything to the shopkeeper, who accepted their apology and took back the box. But their journey was not over. They sought out others who had been victims of theft, returning items and asking for forgiveness. As they completed their task, the town seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The fear that had gripped the community for generations began to dissipate. The legend of the Black Hand slowly faded into memory, a tale of caution rather than terror. Alex and Elena learned the value of honesty and integrity, their actions ensuring that future generations would not suffer the same fate as Masha. The town, now free from the shadow of the Black Hand, flourished once more, its people living in harmony and peace. Part 11, The New Dawn. Years later, Alex and Elena often told their children and grandchildren the story of the Black Hand, not to scare them, but to teach them the importance of doing what is right. The legend became a symbol of redemption and the power of forgiveness, a testament to the strength of a community united against fear and darkness. The small town, once haunted by its past, thrived in the light of a new dawn, forever grateful to the siblings who had broken the cycle and brought peace to their home. And though the tale of the Black Hand was still told, it was now a story of hope, courage, and the enduring power of doing what is right. The end.
Thanks for tuning in to our podcast. If you enjoyed our exploration of ghosts, mythical creatures, and urban legends, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling episodes. Until next time, my beloved listeners.